you were never truly alone. Even in your quietest moments, even in your most uncertain nights, something was always whispering. Not in words, not in sentences, but in patterns, in feelings, in moments of uncanny timing that made the hair on your arms rise. You were taught to ignore it, to call it coincidence, to believe it was just your imagination. But deep inside you knew better, because the universe is not silent. It speaks all the time. It always has. It just doesn't speak in human language. From the moment you were born, you were immersed in a world that translated the infinite into the limited. Words, labels, schedules, belief systems. You were taught to listen with your ears, to learn through repetition, to obey what could be measured, explained, and proven. But the real language of the cosmos was never found in textbooks. It was never taught in school. It was the language behind the sound, the meaning behind the mirror, the pulse behind your breath. Because the universe doesn't communicate with grammar or grammar rules, it communicates with frequency, with vibration, with resonance. It sends signals in every direction, not as sentences, but as synchronicities, not as facts, but as feelings. That moment, you just knew something before it happened. That time someone said exactly what you were thinking. That deep, aching pull to go somewhere you couldn't explain, only to realize later it changed everything. That wasn't luck. It was a message. And the real question is not, is the universe speaking to me? The real question is, are you finally ready to listen? Some call it God. Some call it source. Some say higher self. Others say quantum field. But the name doesn't matter. What matters is this: you are not in the universe. You are of it. And because of that, you were born fluent in its language. Before you could speak, you could feel. Before you could write, you could sense. Before you learned to doubt, you simply knew. That knowing has a name. Some call it intuition, but it's more than that. It's your original language, your birthright. You were fluent in it once. And now this is your invitation to remember. Because this world will teach you how to speak, but not how to understand. It will give you definitions, but not meaning. It will give you data, but not wisdom. Only the universe can do that. And it's been doing it all along. Every number that repeats, every feather on the ground, every dream that lingers like smoke when you wake, every song that finds you at just the right time, every person who enters your life and seems to carry a key to something unspoken. These are not background noise. They're not random. They're answers to the questions your soul is asking, even if you haven't said them out loud. But here's the secret no one tells you. The universe responds not to your words, but to your vibration. You can say, "I want peace," and still radiate chaos. You can beg for love and still carry fear. You can ask for clarity, but emit confusion. And the universe will always mirror the truth beneath the surface. Not what you say, not what you pretend, but what you are. This is the key to its language. It speaks in frequency and listens to alignment, which means the more aligned you are with your own truth, the louder the universe becomes. Suddenly, you notice the signs, you feel the nudges, you decode the patterns, because now you're tuned in. Imagine this. You're standing in a room where the music is playing, but the frequency is outside the range of human hearing. The room is alive with sound, but you hear silence until you shift, until you attune, until you become still enough, clear enough, receptive enough to feel the pulse that was there all along. That's how this works. The universe never stops speaking, you just forgot how to hear it. But the moment you remember, everything changes. Reality bends. Time rearranges. Doors appear where there were once only walls. And you begin to realize you don't need to force the universe to answer you. You only need to learn its language. And that's exactly what we're about to do. Not through belief, not through theory, but through resonance, through emotion, through energy, through alignment. Because the language of the universe is not spoken, it's felt. And now, it's calling you home. You've been speaking the language of the universe your entire life, but not with your mouth, not with your mind, with your energy. Long before you could form words, your body knew how to feel, your heart knew how to sense, your cells responded to vibration like tuning forks, aligning to a cosmic song. You may have forgotten the melody, but the rhythm never stopped. Because the true language of the universe is not built from grammar, punctuation, or syntax. It is built from resonance, from the subtle waves of frequency that ripple out from your every thought, every emotion, every breath. This is not metaphor. It's science, it's spirituality, and it's reality. Everything in existence vibrates. Not just atoms, but emotions. Not just objects, but intentions. When you feel love, your body changes its frequency. When you feel fear, your heart contracts and your energy field distorts. When you feel truth, your whole being aligns even if you can't explain why. That gut feeling you get around someone, that unshakable sense that a decision is right even when it makes no sense logically, that's intuition. And it's not some woo sixth sense. It's your first language. Let's go deeper. Physics tells us that matter is energy. Quantum theory tells us that observation affects outcome. And metaphysics tells us that consciousness shapes the universe. So what does that mean? It means you are not a passive observer in this world. You are a vibrational participant. The frequency you emit through your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs acts as a signal, and the universe responds not to your wishes, but to that signal. You can say, "I'm abundant," but if you feel scarcity, you're vibrating scarcity. And the field, the vast interconnected web of creation, reflects that back to you. Like a mirror, like an echo. So the real question isn't, how do I speak to the universe? The real question is, what am I already saying through my state of being? Because make no mistake, you are always broadcasting. Every time you enter a room and shift the mood without saying a word, every time someone says, "I just felt drawn to you," every time you think of someone and they text you moments later, that's not magic, that's resonance. Your energy is a transmitter, and intuition is the receiver. It's your inner compass, your tuning dial, your direct line to source. And when you stop doubting it, when you start listening to what your body, your emotions, your knowing are telling you, you begin to speak the universe's language fluently. It doesn't speak English. It doesn't speak Russian, Sanskrit, or Latin. It speaks through synchronicity, when patterns appear with impossible timing. Emotion, when you feel a truth that bypasses logic. Nature, when a bird flies by at the exact moment you ask for a sign. Dreams, when symbols carry more weight than waking life. Intuition, that immediate, unexplainable knowing. And if you're still enough to pay attention, you begin to realize the entire universe is in conversation with you. Every moment, every breath. So how do you respond? Not with words, but with frequency. If you want to say thank you, feel gratitude not just as a thought, but as a state. If you want to attract something, become its match. Feel it, live it, embody it. You don't have to yell to get the universe's attention. You only have to align. Because it's already listening. It always has been. The question is, are you clear? Or are you speaking through static? That's what we'll explore next. Because the universe speaks clearly, but only to those who are ready to tune in. And once you understand that frequency is the foundation, you'll never see the world the same way again. You were born fluent in the language of the universe. You didn't need to be taught. You felt the world before you thought about it. You sensed energy before anyone told you what it was. As a child, you saw the world through wonder, not words. You played with invisible friends that weren't imaginary. You felt people's moods before they opened their mouths. You cried in places others called normal because you could feel the trauma trapped in the walls. You were connected, aligned, awake. But slowly, the world began to teach you its version of truth, and the programming began. It starts in subtle ways. Don't be so sensitive. That's just your imagination. Stop daydreaming, pay attention. That's not real. Focus on what matters. And just like that, your inner voice, the one that once whispered in synchronicity and sensation, was drowned out by the voice of society. You were taught to value facts over feelings, proof over presence, logic over knowing. You were taught that if something couldn't be seen, tested, measured, or monetized, it wasn't real. And so, the invisible language of the universe, the very current that flows beneath all things, became background noise. Not because it stopped speaking, but because you were taught to stop listening. Let's call it what it is. A system designed not to educate, but to condition. Condition you to ignore your internal guidance, to dismiss your intuitive hits, to believe more in authority than in your own truth. The schooling system didn't teach you how to feel, it taught you how to comply. It didn't teach you how to tune in, it taught you how to conform. And what you lost wasn't knowledge, it was connection. You learned how to pass tests, but not how to listen to your heart. You learned how to follow rules, but not how to follow resonance. And so you stopped asking certain questions. You stopped trusting the signals. You buried your intuitive self under layers of noise. But deep down, you always knew something was off. Because there were moments strange, soft, sacred moments when the illusion cracked. When you thought of someone and they called. When you dreamt of a place and then saw it in real life. When your body said yes, while your mind screamed no. Those weren't accidents. They were reminders. Glimpses of a language you once knew. Echoes of the soul's first tongue. The great irony? The systems that dismiss the unseen are now obsessed with it. Science is finally catching up. Quantum physics speaks of probability waves, observation, entanglement, non-locality truths mystics have known for centuries. But while researchers dissect the math, mystics feel the field. And now something is shifting. The world is waking up. The veil is thinning. And the language of the universe is remembering you, even if you forgot it. But first, you must deprogram. You must unlearn the lie that logic is superior. You must challenge the voice that says, prove it. You must step outside the mental cage that keeps truth trapped in textbooks. Because the universe does not speak in facts. It speaks in feedback. Not in sentences, but in patterns. Not in explanations, but in alignment. And you are beginning to hear it again. You don't need to abandon your intellect. It's a powerful tool. But it's not the master. It's the translator. The master is your frequency, your emotion, your awareness. This chapter of forgetting is over. The programming is cracking, and through the fractures, light is coming in. You're not learning a new language. You're remembering an ancient one, the one your soul has spoken across lifetimes, the one encoded in your heartbeat, the one that doesn't ask for belief, only for resonance. And once you drop the filters, once you return to presence, once you feel the signal again, you'll realize the universe was never silent. You were just taught to listen to the wrong voice. But now, you're listening again. And that changes everything. If the universe is a great living intelligence, a vast conscious network of frequencies and forms, then you are not just a visitor in its language, you are a speaker. But most of us have forgotten the basics, the core components of communication, not grammar, not vocabulary, but something far older. Emotion, intention, alignment. These are not abstract spiritual ideas. They are the three keys that unlock the flow between you and the universe. Because this language isn't spoken with lips, it is spoken with your state of being. The moment you understand that, you stop trying to talk the universe into giving you something, and instead, you become the frequency of what you desire. Emotion, the energy that shapes the signal. Emotion is not weakness, it's not noise, it's not just a feeling. It's energy in motion, the raw vibration that tells the universe what you truly believe. You can say, "I am abundant," but if your emotional field vibrates fear, lack, and unworthiness, the field responds to that because it listens to the truth beneath your words. Emotion is the ink in which your frequency is written. It charges your thoughts with fire. It colors your intention with power. It sculpts your vibration like water shapes stone. That's why manifestation is not just about thinking positive. It's about feeling aligned even before the evidence shows up. Because feeling is how you tune yourself. Intention, the direction of the signal. Emotion is power, but intention is the compass. It takes raw feeling and gives it form. Without intention, emotion is like lightning with no direction, bright, explosive, but scattered. With intention, it becomes a laser-focused, coherent, unstoppable. Intention is choice. It's declaration. It's, "This is what I choose to create." But here's the secret. True intention doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It doesn't grasp or cling. It knows. It's not, "Please, universe, give me this." It's, "This is what I am choosing to align with, and I trust the field to respond in kind." That certainty is not arrogance. It's resonance. It's the vibration of someone who has remembered that they are co-creating reality, not reacting to it. Alignment, the bridge between the seen and unseen. Emotion powers the signal. Intention gives it direction, but alignment is what makes it land. Alignment is when your beliefs, your actions, your energy, and your identity all point in the same direction. When you're aligned, the universe doesn't resist you, it flows with you. You stop feeling like you're pushing uphill. You stop needing to make things happen. Instead, you become a magnetic match to what you're calling in. Alignment is not about being perfect, it's about being true. You don't have to be high vibe all the time. You just have to be honest with yourself, to notice when you're out of sync, to gently return. Because when your internal world is coherent, the external world responds immediately. That's not magic. That's mechanics. That's how the field works. Embodiment, the language of now. All three of these keys, emotion, intention, and alignment, only work in one place: the present moment. You can't feel in the past. You can't align in the future. You only vibrate now. And the universe only responds to now. So the work isn't to chase a future reality. It's to embody the frequency of that reality today. To feel the love before the relationship. To feel the peace before the outcome. To feel the abundance before the proof. Because when you do, something miraculous happens. Reality starts bending around your vibration. Opportunities appear. Synchronicities accelerate. Blocks dissolve. Why? Because the universe isn't rewarding your effort. It's mirroring your state. You are not manipulating reality. You are resonating with it. And that resonance is the secret language. So, here is your remembering. Asterisk. Feel what you wish to experience. Asterisk. Declare it through unwavering intention. Asterisk. Align your actions, thoughts, and energy with it. Asterisk. Live it now, not in waiting, but in being. And the field responds. Because the field is listening. It always has been. You were just speaking through noise. But now the static is fading. Now your signal is clear. And now the universe understands. Most people go through life asking, why doesn't the universe ever answer me? But the real question is, why do we expect the universe to answer in a language it never used? The universe does not write in ink. It does not speak in human words. It does not follow the rules of grammar. It speaks in reflections, in vibrations, in patterns that repeat until you finally pay attention. It's been speaking to you your entire life through what you call coincidences, gut feelings, strange timing, and unexplained connections. These aren't random. They are messages. And the moment you begin to recognize them, you no longer see life as chaos. You begin to see the code behind it all. You begin to understand the conversation that's been happening all along. The universe speaks in mirrors. You are surrounded by feedback at all times. Every situation, every interaction, every challenge, they are not punishments, they are not delays. They are mirrors reflecting what you believe, what you expect, what you're ready to learn or release. When you keep meeting the same kind of people, when you keep falling into the same emotional loop, when the same theme keeps playing out across different areas of your life, that is not an accident. It's the universe repeating the same sentence until you get the message. Not because it's cruel, but because it's compassionate. It wants you to awaken, to listen, to notice. And when you do, the patterns shift, because the message has been received. Synchronicity, the sacred timing of everything. You look at the clock, 11:11. Again, you think of someone and they text you within seconds. You read a sentence that answers the exact question you whispered to the sky just hours before. These aren't flukes. These are threads, tiny quantum alignments, proof that the field is responsive, alive, intelligent. Carl Jung called it synchronicity, meaningful coincidence with no causal link. But mystics knew this long before psychology gave it a name. Because to the awakened, nothing is random. Synchronicity is evidence that your vibration is aligning with a larger rhythm, and now reality is harmonizing with you. It's the universe saying, yes, you're on the path, keep going. Symbols, the language of the subconscious. Dreams, numbers, animals, geometry. These are not just visual flukes or cultural superstitions. They are codes. The subconscious, your deeper mind, understands symbols far better than it understands words. And the universe speaks through that door. An owl at midnight, a triangle in a dream, a serpent on a billboard right after you asked for clarity. They all carry messages, but not in dictionary definitions. You don't decode symbols by looking them up. You decode them by asking, what does this mean to me right now in this moment? Because the universe doesn't use fixed definitions, it uses resonance. What's important is not what the symbol means to everyone. It's what it activates in you. That's the language. That's the listening. Listening requires presence. The reason most people don't hear the universe is simple. They're too busy talking in their heads, projecting fears into the future, obsessing over the past, filling silence with noise. But the universe speaks in subtlety. Its voice is soft. Its signs are quiet. They don't scream, they nudge. And if you're constantly distracted, you'll miss them. That's why presence is the portal. Stillness is the key. When you slow down, when you come back into your body, when you move through life like it's sacred again, you begin to hear the whispers. You begin to notice what you used to overlook. The feather on the ground, the song on the radio, the way someone says something that strikes a chord in your soul. All of it is communication. Ask and listen, the dialogue begins. Here's a truth you were never taught. You can ask the universe for a sign and it will answer. Not always in the way you expect, not always in the time you want, but it will answer. Because this is not a monologue, it's a dialogue. You ask, you feel, you pay attention, and suddenly the world becomes alive with meaning. You feel guided because you are. The signs don't give you your path, they confirm what your soul already knows. You are not here to be told what to do. You are here to remember that you already know and trust the signs that reflect that knowing back to you. So begin to listen, begin to decode, begin to trust. The field is alive, reality is intelligent, the symbols are not accidents. And the more you notice, the more they appear. Because the universe speaks clearest to the ones who are finally listening. The universe has never been a silent observer. It has always been listening. But the moment you realize that it's not just speaking to you, you're speaking to it, everything changes. You stop being a passive receiver, you become a conscious creator. Because the conversation doesn't end with signs and synchronicities. That's just the beginning. Once you've remembered how to listen, you must remember how to speak back. Not with words, not with logic, but with vibration, intention, and embodied truth. This is where manifestation begins. And not the watered-down kind. Not visualize a car and wait, not say affirmations and cross your fingers. We're talking about the mechanics behind the mystery, the hidden structure behind what they used to call miracles. The real secret isn't that manifestation works. The secret is that it's always working. You just haven't been intentional about it. Until now. Reality is a mirror. What you send, you see. The universe is not random. It's reflective. It responds not to your words, but to the dominant frequency you emit. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are aligned with. If you want love, but your energy is rooted in fear, you don't attract love, you attract mirrors of your fear. If you want freedom, but live in cycles of self-doubt, you don't attract liberation, you attract more cages. So, the work isn't to beg reality to change. The work is to shift your signal. Because when your inner frequency matches your desired outcome, reality has no choice but to reflect it. Intention is the command but not the control. Here's the paradox. You must become clear about what you desire, but you must also let go of the need to control how it arrives. That's what true intention is. It's not desperate, it's not forced, it's not needy. It's a calm, unwavering declaration. This is what I am aligning with, and I trust the field to bring it to me in the most aligned way. When your intention is clean, not clouded by fear, not diluted by doubt, it acts like a magnetic signal. It begins to bend probability. You don't push reality, you invite it. And the invitation is made with energy, not effort. Visualization, seeing to become. Visualization isn't daydreaming, it's neurological priming, it's energetic rehearsal. When you visualize something vividly with emotion, detail, and presence, your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and memory. You begin to become the version of yourself who already lives that timeline. And once that version feels real to your system, you start to act, think, and choose from that state. That's what shifts your field. That's what changes your magnetism. Not fantasy, but frequency. Embodiment, acting as the signal. The final and most important step of speaking to the universe is this. You must become what you're asking for. Not pretend, not perform, become. If you're calling in abundance, how would you walk today if it was already yours? If you're calling in purpose, how would you speak, breathe, show up if you were already living it? Most people wait for proof before they shift, but the universe works in reverse. The shift comes first, then the evidence follows. That's why the most powerful manifestation technique isn't ritual. It's embodiment. It's choosing to live in resonance with your desired state even when there's no physical proof yet. That's faith. That's frequency. That's fluency in the language of creation. The energy behind the action. Many people ask, what should I do? But the universe isn't just listening to your actions. It's listening to the energy behind your actions. You can take 1,000 steps from a place of fear and nothing will move. Or you can take one step from full alignment and reality will rush to meet you. So stop obsessing over how. Start focusing on who you're being while you act. Because your vibration is the real message. The rest is just choreography. This is how you speak to the universe. Asterisk, you feel it into being. Asterisk, you intend with clarity. Asterisk, you visualize with conviction. Asterisk, you embody with integrity. Asterisk, and you trust the process. Not because you're forcing reality to change, but because you're remembering that you are co-creating it. You are not a beggar asking the cosmos for crumbs. You are a conscious node in the field of potential. And when you speak the universe's language, not in words, but in resonance, everything responds. Because everything is listening. The universe is always listening, but sometimes it can't hear you clearly. Not because it isn't trying, not because it's withholding your answers, but because you're broadcasting static. You're still speaking, but the signal is garbled, scrambled, filled with contradiction. You've been taught to think your manifestations aren't working, but the truth is, the universe is responding. It's just responding to the conflicted frequency you're actually sending. You don't need more effort, you need more clarity. Because when the signal is clean, creation becomes inevitable. Let's break down the hidden habits and energetic distortions that interfere with your signal and how to shift out of them. Doubt, the silent frequency blocker. Doubt is subtle. It doesn't always sound like "I can't." Sometimes it sounds like asterisk. What if this is stupid? Asterisk. Am I doing this right? Asterisk. What if I'm just fooling myself? Doubt vibrates at a frequency that cancels out the very thing you're trying to attract. It tells the universe, I don't trust my own signal. And so, the field reflects that uncertainty back to you, not to punish, but to mirror your belief. You don't need blind optimism. You need to trust your resonance more than the evidence around you. Because the field doesn't respond to what's true, it responds to what you believe is true. Desperation, the energy of lack in disguise. You can say all the right affirmations. You can light candles and script your desires 100 times. But if underneath it all you're carrying neediness, you're vibrating lack. Desperation tells the universe, I don't have it. I need it. I'm not whole without it. And the universe says, understood. You are not whole. Manifestation doesn't happen when you grasp. It happens when you align. When you release the story of lack and step into the embodied version of who already has it. Not because you've received the outcome, but because you've remembered the truth. You are not lacking. You are already complete. Overthinking, noise that drowns intuition. Your mind is brilliant, but it is not the source of truth. Overthinking is what happens when you try to logic your way through a vibrational reality. You analyze every sign. You second-guess your desires. You want to predict, control, and calculate every outcome. And in doing so, you drown out your inner signal. The field doesn't respond to spreadsheets. It responds to clarity of being. If your mind is full of questions, your signal becomes scattered, your actions become reactive, and your frequency becomes fractured. The solution? Silence, presence, listening. Sometimes the clearest message you can send is simply, I trust. Contradiction between thought, emotion, and action. Here's the most common block and the one no one talks about. Your thoughts say one thing, your emotions feel another, your actions reflect something else entirely. This is energetic contradiction, and it creates static in the field. You say, I'm ready for change, but you feel afraid, and you keep repeating the same behavior. The universe gets mixed signals, not because it doesn't love you, but because it mirrors exactly what you emit. When your thoughts, feelings, and actions align, you become electromagnetically coherent. And when you're coherent, the universe responds instantly. Not later, not eventually, now. Impatience, the frequency of mistrust. Impatience is the most deceptive block of all, because it usually arises right before the shift. It says, it's not happening fast enough. I must be doing something wrong. I need to do more. But all impatience does is tell the field you don't trust the process. And so your frequency slips out of alignment, not because your desire was wrong, but because your timing obsession pulled you into fear. Remember, time is not linear. It bends around energy. The more you embody the outcome now, the faster it arrives. Not because you chased it harder, but because you became the version of you who no longer waits, expecting external proof before inner change. This is the oldest trap in the book. I'll believe it when I see it. But the universe works the opposite way. You'll see it when you believe it. Your reality is not made of facts. It's made of feedback. If you wait for reality to change before you do, you stay stuck in an endless loop. Because your state creates the reflection, not the other way around. So when you expect outer confirmation before you shift your inner world, you delay your own manifestation. But when you act as if your desire is already true with confidence, embodiment, and peace, the field begins rearranging immediately. Not because you tricked it, but because you finally aligned with it. If emotion is the soul's voice, and intention is the compass of creation, then light, sound, and geometry are the alphabet of the cosmos. This is the part of the universal language that no school ever taught you, because it doesn't belong to one culture, one system, or one religion. It is older than any civilization. It is the original script of creation itself. Before words were spoken, before thoughts were formed, there was vibration. And vibration birthed pattern. Pattern gave rise to form, and from form came the worlds. Everything you see, from the structure of your DNA, to the orbit of the planets, to the very shape of sound itself, follows the same sacred blueprint. This is the hidden language that mystics intuited, ancient cultures encoded, and modern science is only just beginning to rediscover. Light, the divine messenger. Light is not just illumination, it is information. Every beam of light carries data not just through your eyes, but directly into your energy field. That's why certain colors make you feel calm, why staring into a sunset can shift your entire state, why ancient temples were built to align with solstices, equinoxes, and the angle of the sun. Because light encodes consciousness. Photons, particles of light, are not just physical phenomena. They're carriers of intention. And when light is focused with awareness, as in healing, as in ceremony, as in inner vision, it becomes a tool of alignment. Think about this. Asterisk. Your cells emit biophotons, tiny flashes of light. Asterisk. Your aura is shaped by the light you emit. Asterisk. Enlightenment isn't just metaphor. It's a change in the way your body holds and transmits light. To speak the language of the universe through light is to remember that your body is a living prism and your consciousness, the light it refracts. Sound, the bridge between worlds. In the beginning was the Word. So begins one of the most esoteric lines in sacred scripture. But what was this word? It wasn't a sentence. It was sound, pure frequency. Sound is not just a byproduct of movement, it is creative force. In ancient India, they called it Nada Brahma, the world is sound. The Vedas speak of Om as the primordial vibration. And across cultures, this same truth echoes. Asterisk. In Egypt, Thoth created through speech. Asterisk. In the Bible, God spoke the world into being. Asterisk. In Aboriginal tradition, the world was sung into existence, the songlines. Even modern science now shows that sound can asterisk move matter, cymatics. Asterisk heal tissue, ultrasound. Asterisk alter consciousness, binaural beats. Asterisk restructure water molecules, as in Masaru Emoto's experiments. Sound is not entertainment, it is technology. And when used consciously, it becomes a tool of awakening. Mantras, chants, affirmations, they don't just affect your mind, they reprogram your field. Because your body is a tuning fork, your voice is a transmitter, and every word you speak is either aligning you or distorting you. Sacred geometry, the blueprint of consciousness. What if I told you the universe has a grammar? A sacred structure that governs all form, all energy, all expression. It's called sacred geometry, and it's the code behind reality itself. You see it everywhere. Asterisk. the spiral of galaxies and seashells. Asterisk, the hexagonal structure of honeycombs. Asterisk, the fivefold symmetry of flowers and starfish. Asterisk, the precise ratios of your own body, head, hands, heart. These aren't coincidences. They are harmonic expressions of order. The flower of life, the golden ratio, the Sri Yantra, the tree of life, these aren't just symbols, they are keys. Keys that unlock the truth that form follows frequency. When you understand the geometry of creation, you understand how to asterisk, manifest with precision. Asterisk, align with natural law. Asterisk, heal through symmetry and proportion. Asterisk, communicate across dimensions. Because these shapes aren't man-made, they are encoded into the fabric of existence. The trinity of creation, light, sound, form. When light, sound, and geometry converge, creation happens. In ancient temples, initiates weren't just taught ideas, they were immersed in frequencies. Asterisk light streaming through stained glass at precise angles. Asterisk chants echoing in acoustic perfection. Asterisk symbols carved into stone, activating memory through shape. These weren't decorations, they were activation codes. The same codes that show up in your dreams. The same codes that pull your soul toward ancient symbols you've never studied, but somehow recognize. Why? Because you're not learning this. You're remembering it. Your soul knew this language long before this lifetime. And every time you speak it again through meditation, art, movement, sound, or silence, you reconnect with the divine matrix that holds all things. By now, you've started to realize something. You are not just part of the universe. You are not just observing reality. You are a transmitter, a living antenna, a conscious node in the infinite matrix of Source, a soul encoded with the power to influence reality by how you show up within it. But here's the turning point, the next level in this awakening. You are not here to constantly ask, chase, or fix. You are here to become the signal, the embodiment, the expression, the radiant frequency of your highest self now, not later. This isn't about perfection, it's about resonance. It's about attuning your energy so deeply to the version of you that already lives in alignment with truth, that the field around you can't help but reflect it back. That's the real secret. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you're being. Who is your highest self? Let's be clear. Your highest self is not a future version of you. It's not some perfected, enlightened, post-trauma being floating in the clouds. Your highest self is here, now, already alive within you, already whispering through your intuition, already pulsing beneath the noise. You don't need to become your highest self. You need to remove what you're not. The masks, the conditioning, the stories of fear, scarcity, and separation that were never yours to begin with. Alignment doesn't happen by adding. It happens by uncovering, peeling back the layers, returning to simplicity, reclaiming the resonance that was always there, tuning into that frequency. So how do you do it? How do you align with a frequency that feels just out of reach? Here's the truth. Frequency doesn't come from thinking. It comes from choosing. Moment to moment, breath to breath, you choose the version of you that vibrates higher, not from force, but from remembrance. That looks like asterisk, speaking even when your voice shakes because truth is your tone. Asterisk, resting when the world demands hustle, because peace is your frequency. Asterisk, saying no to what dims you, because light is your language. Asterisk, feeling emotions without judgment, because your signal isn't sanitized, it's authentic. You tune into your highest self by acting as if you are already them. Because you are. You're not pretending, you're transmitting. Embodied integrity living in frequency. This isn't just about what you do, it's about who you're being when you do it. Integrity isn't about morality, it's about energetic congruence. When your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions are aligned, you become coherent, and coherence is magnetic. You've felt this before. You've met people who radiate calm, even when they say nothing. You've walked into spaces that feel sacred without explanation. You've had moments where your body knew what your mind hadn't caught up with yet. That's coherence. That's living in frequency. And when you commit to embodying the signal of your highest self, your reality starts to bend. Asterisk, opportunities appear. Asterisk, chaos dissolves. Asterisk, relationships shift or fall away, not as punishment, but as recalibration. Because the more you align with truth, the more anything untrue becomes impossible to maintain. Daily transmission, it's not about rituals, it's about remembrance. You don't need to sit in lotus position for 2 hours a day to raise your vibration. You don't need to chant mantras or travel to sacred temples. Your frequency is shaped by how you show up in the ordinary, because that's where the magic lives. Asterisk, in the way you breathe when you're anxious. Asterisk, in the way you speak when no one's listening. Asterisk, in the thoughts you choose when no one's watching. Asterisk, in the micro decisions that either pull you toward your truth or away from it. Ask yourself daily, what would the highest version of me choose in this moment? Then choose it, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient, especially then. Because that's when you recalibrate your signal most powerfully. You're not just aligning your energy, you're sending a message to the field. This is who I am now, and I no longer vibrate with anything less. The paradox: when you become the signal, you stop chasing outcomes. This is the moment it all shifts. When you stop trying to control, when you stop grasping, when you stop waiting for life to reward you. Because you realize you were never waiting on life. Life was waiting on you to step into resonance. And when you do, you become the signal. The prayer becomes presence. The wish becomes embodiment. The journey becomes joy. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are in tune. And from that tune, everything else harmonizes. So here's your remembering. Asterisk, you are not a seeker. You are a signal. Asterisk, you are not a mistake. You are a message. Asterisk, you are not a follower. You are a frequency that shifts the field just by being fully yourself. When you truly become the vibration you once tried to attract, you no longer chase reality. Reality aligns with you. You came here looking for the language of the universe, and now you've discovered something much deeper. You are the language. You are not just interpreting signs. You are not just reacting to energy. You are a living pulse in the fabric of reality, a signal that shapes what's possible simply by existing in coherence. So, what happens when you change your signal? What happens when you stop vibrating with fear, shame, scarcity, and start embodying love, presence, clarity, and alignment? Reality changes. Not metaphorically, literally. Your outer world begins to reorganize itself around your inner resonance. This is the forgotten technology of the soul, the truth the ancients whispered through symbols, songs, and sacred silence. Your frequency doesn't just influence your life, it creates it. You are not observing reality. You are projecting it. Let that land. Everything you perceive is filtered through your frequency. Two people can walk into the same room. One feels threatened, one feels at home. The room didn't change, their signal did. And your signal isn't just passive, it's active. It shapes what you notice, what you attract, what you dismiss, what you amplify. Change your frequency, and you don't just experience a new version of reality. You create it. Not through magic, through mechanics. Because the field doesn't deal in words, it deals in vibration. And the clearer your vibration becomes, the more your life reflects your inner truth. The mirror effect, everything is feedback. Look around. Every part of your life is echoing something inside you. Asterisk. The people you attract mirror your beliefs about love and worth. Asterisk. The abundance you experience mirrors your relationship with receiving. Asterisk. The opportunities that show up mirror how open or contracted your energy is. This isn't about blame, it's about power. If your external life is feedback, then you're never a victim. You're a co-creator. And every time you shift your energy not through willpower, but through resonance, reality adapts. People change, systems recalibrate, obstacles dissolve. Not because you force them to, but because your signal no longer holds space for their old form. You outgrow the reality you once thought was fixed. Because nothing is fixed. Everything is frequency. Entanglement. The quantum field responds to you. Quantum physics calls it entanglement, the idea that particles, once connected, remain linked across time and space. But mystics have always known you are entangled with your reality, not as a passive speck in an uncaring cosmos, but as a creator entangled with your creation. Your thoughts are not isolated, they are waves in the field. Your emotions are not private, they are vibrations felt through time. Your choices ripple outward, reshaping possibilities before they even arrive. That's why the greatest shifts often happen after your inner change, not before. You don't need to do more. You need to become the field you want to live in. The new reality is born from you. You've been taught to look outward, to chase results, to measure success by what's visible. But here's the truth. The visible always follows the invisible. Your job isn't to micromanage the material, it's to master your signal. Because when enough people shift their vibration, the collective field changes. That's how movements begin, that's how culture transforms, that's how empires collapse and awakenings rise. Not from war, from frequency coherence. From the silent revolution of individuals who choose truth and become so aligned with love, clarity, and purpose that the old world can no longer hold its form. You are a living portal. You've always felt it, haven't you? That sense that you're here for more, that you're not meant to just survive, that something vast and ancient pulses inside you, waiting to be remembered. That's not imagination. That's memory. You are not here to decode the language of the universe from afar. You are here to speak it with your life. Every breath, every choice, every vibration you offer is a message to the field. And the more that message aligns with your highest truth, the more the universe opens. Doors that were sealed begin to unlock. People who match your frequency appear. Ideas download like lightning. Reality shifts not because it's being manipulated, but because it's finally hearing you clearly. You are the portal. You are the code. You are the signal this world has been waiting for. So here's your final remembering. Asterisk. Stop waiting for permission. Asterisk. Stop waiting for signs that it's safe to be who you are. Asterisk. The world shifts when you do. Asterisk. Reality bends to the one who remembers they are not separate from it. You've always been creating. Now, do it on purpose. This is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new one, a story where you are no longer at the mercy of forces outside you.